So are you gonna ask me to do that again?
Would you like to?
Would I like to? I would do anything for you, you know I would, but if you want to
Okay,
do
no,
turns.
You can take a break. Minute after we get very comfortable. Are all our systems go?
I believe so, but I'd like this.
We go and close that door, please. Okay. That's just enough distraction that
I just noticed.
Okay. Well, then we'll get right with this business of opening our meeting. The Historic Landmark Commission of the Dells, Oregon is officially open for business. We're about a minute and a half late. And the first thing we do on our agenda is have a roll call. So Paula, would you take a roll call for our people? I'm looking at our back screen. Have we got no one on?
I think Commissioner Stevenson is going to join us.
Okay, fine.
Thank you.
I'm just trying to get punctual.
I appreciate that.
Just for the record, Bob, the clock is a little fast.
Instead of the back screen's not on.
Oh, it is. That one's a little fast. I'm just, see, I'm always going.
My watch is 2 minutes on, fast, always 2 minutes.
There we go. I don't know where his thing is. Keep spread out then.
I think you're gonna have to introduce yourself also. We've been meeting without you.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Bob.
Scott, nice to meet you.
Scott, I'm Bev.
Bev, nice to meet you.
Hi.
I didn't know how many times we could call you absent before we just said he's gone.
What do you mean?
See, we've been meeting pretty regular,
Uh-huh.
and you haven't attended yet. I know you have a conflict of interest.
Chair McNary,
He's new.
he was here via Zoom last meeting.
He was
On the
on the Zoom.
Oh, okay. All right,
We apologize.
yeah, I'll
We
stand.
couldn't see the screen.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Oh, it's behind you. That's probably.
So it'll be here as well, but
Oh,
I think
see.
If our technician does well.
So Chair McNary, Scott, this will be his second official meeting, so his first since being appointed by the mayor. So he was here.
Oh, I thought he was appointed way last in July.
no, he's
Yeah.
brand new.
He was brand new at
Brand
our
new.
last meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Who was that reference? Oh, we didn't,
Three places.
we might have met, we're meeting on Zoom then, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, we're almost lit up.
So,
Now,
would you like to restart?
yes, I'll restart. Now is the hour for the Historic Landmark Commission of the City of Liddell to meet. And the first order of our meeting is a roll call. So Paula, would you conduct a roll call for us?
Bev Aggie,
Present.
Forrest Ercole is absent. Eric Gleason is absent, but he will be joining us. Bob McNary,
Yes.
Scott Stevenson,
Present.
Scott Randall is absent, and Julie Reynolds. Hi, Julie. You're muted.
I'm here.
You,
Julie, we got a seat at the table for you, and look at there, you're way off there, and
Oh,
Somebody.
no. I'll
you'll
just have
notice
to
your
listen
name
in.
is on the plaque there at the end.
Oh, my
so-
gosh. Next
We
time,
hope to see you in person.
thanks.
I know what my problem is. I was thinking you was a councilman representative. And we haven't seen him yet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That
now
That was
I-
just a practice for him.
Yeah,
When he
yeah,
comes,
right.
he's gonna get it. So
Yeah.
thanks for the warm up.
Yeah, I hope I'm not that guy.
Yeah, no kidding.
okay. Scott,
Yes, sir.
we're all gonna stand here and have the pledge of allegiance. Would you like to have the honor of leading this in the pledge of allegiance?
Well, let's
today?
do this. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, liberty and justice for all.
Liberty and justice for all.
I don't know what I've done yet. Had that wrapped around my leg. This is part of the woodwork. I'm just having a little tag with some kind of a transformer under my foot, and I didn't know where it came from or where it went, so I think it's out of the way. If we go into the block, I got it tangled up all the way and yanked it out. Our first item of business is the approval of the agenda. Did you get a copy?
I think it was emailed to me. Is there a physical copy?
You can't have a pleasure if you don't get involved here.
I've got two.
Ah,
Oh, there we
that's
go.
the big,
My husband makes a copy and then I snag one, so we're good.
At least so you know which way we're going. I'm trying to keep us going.
Mhm.
If you had a chance to read the agenda, and I'd like to have a motion to either pass it or amend it to cover whatever you'd like to talk about.
I move to approve the agenda as written.
Right on.
I'll second that.
That'll be fine.
All right.
All in favor, say aye.
I,
All right, now we'll go on to the approval of the minutes of March 30th, 2022. They're quite lengthy because I talked too much, but if you had a chance to read them and maybe make some corrections in any way, shape, or form. If not, we'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes as written.
I motion to approve.
I second that.
Hey, nice
Very
job.
good. There will be no further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
I,
All right, now we've got a lot of our business taken care of. Now, we've only been here 2 minutes. That's pretty fair. This is a public comment time of our business. You're not allowed to speak on the subject that's on the agenda, but you can talk about something else that's historic and you think that it would be of interest to the commission to be aware of it. So I'm opening up the meeting to anyone in our room or on the air that if you got a comment you'd like to talk about, please speak up. I don't hear nothing but a motorcycle. I don't know if that counts or not. So we're gonna close the public comment down. And now we're gonna get to staff comments. And I'm sure there's a lot of whispers been going on. But give us the staff report, Dawn, please.
Marsh, yes, I'll give you a status update. I think what I'm gonna do, see if I can get this open here. Maybe. There we go. Oops, there we go. Okay. Welcome, first of all, to the April Historic Landmark Commission meeting. I do have a couple items that I want to talk to you about in the past or that we've worked before. Walldogs Muralfest status. What we have, you have all approved is all of the required buildings except for one. There are 2 murals that are remaining that do need to get approval from the Historic Landmark Commission because they're located on the Civic Auditorium or are planned for the Civic Auditorium, excuse me. So once the applicant gets those 2 murals decided on the location, they'll be bringing those applications to you for approval. The remainder of the buildings that they have chosen are either not inventoried or not in historic districts, which means it does not require your review. So I'm hoping to get some of those signed off before next week. And everything else is still going on. In terms of the SHPO grant, it's underway. I actually spent an hour and a half with one of your fellow commissioners working through some of the final selection of some of the buildings. We do have some buildings that are included, as well as the Walldogs murals, the new murals, and as well as the old murals. So we're finalizing that information now, and then we're going to be working on getting the professional photography taken of those existing buildings. And then obviously, once those buildings are selected and the murals are painted, that's when some photography will be done on those other, on the murals. And I do have one other thing I forgot to put on here. As you all know, this will be my last meeting with the Historic Landmark Commission. Yeah,
Oh, makes
You're not
me-
supposed to cry just yet.
that makes me sad.
it has been a joy working with every one of you, seriously. Don't tell the Planning Commission, but you are my favorite group. I know this is getting recorded. So anyway, it's been great. You guys are amazing. I look forward to this meeting every single month. Paul and I love talking about this meeting and getting together. I'm so glad that we're able to get together before I was leaving. So I will still be actively involved in the community. I did take a job with the state, but I'll be working from home. So you all have my cell number. So if you ever need me, you know where to get me. So anyway, I just want to thank you. You guys are a great group. So that's what I've got for staff comments. And the only other last thing with that is, this is Miss Caitlin Cook. She will be feeling my shoes when it comes to this portion of my job. So be kind, but I don't think there could be a better person that will take care of you and be a steward for historic preservation than Caitlin. She's the gal that's going to make it happen. So she's going to be your contact. Paula will also be her right hand, just in terms of any type of history. And then they may have my cell number if they need me, but I'm hoping you guys will be fine. So anyway, that's all I have for you in terms of staff comments today.
Well, the next item is commissioner's comments. And we always seem to bring up a subject or two. So I'll start with you, Bev. You got anything that you have seen happen in the historic field this last month?
On personal field, I've seen my daughter and my son, so that's been really special.
Hope it is
but
too historic.
That's not, it's historic for me because they both live overseas. It took years in between visits, so it's been like blessed mama time. But not a lot. Victor Johnson's making good progress with Herbaling House, and Mr. Eggy's down helping him and doing bits and pieces. So that's kind of exciting. You know, there's lots of good things happening on 4th Street. Call ourselves the fools of 4th Street, the people that have old houses. I see a couple fools out there right now. So yeah, just it's been and we're gonna miss you, but we'll see you around. See you around the traps. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Scott, now I'm caught up with you. I thought you was the commissioner for our group.
no, sir.
And I'm proud to see you here. And I want to commend you off. I was a little bit apprehensive about the sign, I guess if you want to call it, in the front yard of the old library.
Yeah.
I didn't know that it might not be a little touch too modernistic for something that was historic, but it looked wonderful.
Well, thank you.
And I want to commend you. I'm not good at looking at art and telling the word fit, so that worked good. Now,
Yeah.
if you got a story to tell us.
Well, that project itself was really pretty exciting. I think we talked about that a little bit, working with Robert Clark up at the college. And then we just this last weekend did a sculpture project. I think a lot of people in the community probably saw that down on 2nd and Washington. So that was a sculpture that we had put together with the city, basically the Dalles Art Center, the Dalles Art Association. Put that project together with that funding that we received from the city. So we started that project before COVID. And so it's been kind of 2 years in the making. So this last weekend is when it actually happened. So we had exceeded expectations. We probably ended up with about 1,000 pieces. They were expecting about 250 pieces.
Was the blacksmith?
Yeah, the
thing?
blacksmith
that was
pieces
awesome.
in there. So the turnout was fantastic, and people got really excited about it. And it's one of those materials that is really inherent as part of our community's history, is that blacksmithing. So it was really great to get with our committee, and Tanya Bromley's on that she was able to get the Dalles Ironworks involved. So that's a long tradition of blacksmithing and metalwork down there. So it's starting to build this community. And so that's where we've been working with Robert Clark. He has a technical program. And so it's starting to kind of coalesce. We're starting to get this kind of traditional art forms, crafts, and, starting to get into the community more. And so once that project will be completed, they're doing the final touches, getting it together. So we should receive the sculpture on May 31st. So, so we're excited to get that. And it's going to be, some traditional processes on it. So that was kind of our big event coming. And that's it. That's all I got.
Thank you. Now, I'm going to get up. I'm not leaving. I'm just going to get repositioned, shall I say?
All right.
I might have to have help, but I'm going to get repositioned.
You coming to give me a hug, Bob?
I want to say they're wonderful. Don, I got asked today about how long you have been doing this with the Landmark Commission. And I got something like 26 years, or 21, 26, I don't know, look at the date here. I've been around for probably 25 of them. And it's been wonderful. And I want you to come up and get this, and we'll find a volunteer. Some, did staff bring their cameras? Oh, there comes cameras.
Hey,
You know, this is outside the scope of the job. I didn't know there was.
this is not what I wanted. This is like, I don't want it this year.
I even tried to put a shirt on, didn't have a big pink spot.
Perfect.
I thought that was real nice. Thank you,
Aw.
Don.
Thank you so much.
We're still gonna be around.
Yes, we will. Thank you. That is absolutely sweet. Record, I like to state that I started at age 12. Okay.
How old are you?
Yeah.
What was the
Yeah.
number of it?
Well, I started to do this in the last couple of months. We're gonna take a break, watch Bob go through this or listen to Bob go through it. And if it gets too bad, hold your hands over your ears and we'll go from there. Now is the time specified by the Historic Landmark Commission to conduct a public hearing. The purpose of this public hearing is to consider the following manner. And the first one is application 203-22 George Robertson of 207 West 4th Street. And he wants to replace a few things on one of the historic homes there. I won't go into all that. But anyhow, we're going to be looking at his home on 204 West 4th Street. Now I'll get back to the printed sheet. Substantive criteria upon which the Historic Landmark Commission will base its decision in this manner are contained in the city comprehensive plan and land use and development ordinances. A public hearing is required and certain rules apply. First and foremost, you must be recognized by the chair in order to speak and present testimony. When recognized by the chair, please proceed to the microphone and state your name and mailing address for the record. The hearing is required by law to be tape recorded. Generally, the public hearing procedure is as follows. Prior to the public hearing, a determination will be made to the qualifications of the commission members and allow for challenges from the audience. We don't just whip right into that right now. Is there anyone here in the audience that would like to question the credentials of any of our commissioners here, all three of us? I still don't see another face on the screen, so hearing none, we'll go on past that one. It'll come up again, but it's okay. After the staff report, we will hear testimony from proponents, those persons in favor of the application. Next, there will be testimony from the opponents, those not in favor of the application. Next, there will be testimony for anyone who wishes to offer testimony or questions. So if you're not involved either way, you can still talk. Then in the honor of the right of rebuttal, we will again hear from those in favor of the application. To speed the hearing, the commission members may ask questions of the persons as they testify. When the process has been concluded, we will close the public testimony portion of the hearing. During the hearing, some important standards apply. First of all, those who testify must hold their testimony to the decision criteria as in the law, all land use hearings. Pardon me. There are a complete set of land use hearings. There are a complete set of rules, procedures, and criteria we must follow. Second, failure to raise an issue accompanied by a statement or evidence sufficient to afford the commission members and the parties an opportunity to respond, and their issue precludes an appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals based on that issue. Pardon me, one moment. Thank you, Bev. Third, the failure of the application to raise constitutional or other issues related to the proposed conditions of approval will detail specific enough to allow the city to respond to the issue, precludes an action for damages in the circuit court. Fourth, prior to the conclusion of the public hearing, any participant may request an opportunity to present further evidence, argument, or testimony regarding the application. If such a request is made, the law states the commission may grant the request by either continuing the hearing to a time and date set at least 7 days from the date of the initial hearing, or the record must be kept open for that period for at least 7 days. If anybody understood it, maybe you got questions. Hearing none, we will go on. Here always comes the fun part. Dawn's gonna miss this when she isn't here. As the members of the commission, ask the members I'm supposed to ask the members if they have any portrait.
Ex parte.
I don't know, 20 years and I still can't pronounce that word.
We'd be
So
disappointed if you did.
If you have any conflict of interest, it's much easier to say conflict of interest than anything. And you, Bev?
I do not.
Okay, now, we already talked about the qualifications of the people. So the public hearing is now open. And we will hear from Dawn on the staff report for the particular project. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chair McNary. So as you stated, this property is located at 207 West 4th Street. And from Bev's earlier comment, it seems you may be joining a club called the Fools of 4th Street.
You're officially a fool.
Maybe.
I've been advised.
Okay.
So this is property is located in Trevitt's Historic District. Definitely one of my favorite houses. There's a lot to choose from in that area. And this is definitely one of those. A vicinity map, just to kind of give you an idea where this house is located. It abuts the gas station that fronts on 3rd Street, and it's surrounded by other residential homes, or that homes that were originally built to be residences in that area. Current conditions, to give you an idea of what is going on at the house. Mr. Robertson has been doing some work both inside and on the exterior in terms of painting, some restoration, and obviously the application they're bringing here that he's bringing today is for some window work as well as removal of a door. Give you another idea just to take a look at the back. It was kind of a gloomy day. I tried to make it look as pretty. It definitely looks much better in person than this photo, so I apologize for that. Just kind of gives you an idea of the building. It does have a historic garage to the back, an accessory structure. And I want to say it was in the 90s when it used to be a flat roofed structure for the accessory structure. And they did come before the historic landmark and gain approval for that to have some like a loft area up there. So a notification was published in the local newspaper as well as to property owners within 100 feet and the State Historic Preservation Office. To this date, we have not received any comments from any of those party or any applicant, or excuse me, any neighbors or SHPO. Staff is actually recommending approval. It's kind of a modified approval, and then we'll be doing that based upon findings of fact. So as Bob stated, or excuse me, as Chair McNary stated, applicants proposing to remove enclosed non-original door on the north face of the house. which I can't even see it here, but it's over here. And which is basically the back. So that was the back view, as well as replace 5 deteriorating windows. The site plan that he provided gives you a good idea of the existing locations are located in green. A proposed new location for windows, or excuse me, to replace, those also have the blue, and includes some additional windows here, as well as a new egress for the basement to be utilized for potentially sleeping purposes. Oops, I'll get this. It's my last day to make it happen. Sorry. Okay, just to kind of give you an idea, this was included in your packet. So the proposed locations or window replacements, just to kind of give you an idea, looking at the foundation of the home. Oh, and it's just not cooperating. There we go. This is the rear door that is facing north that will be removed, kind of the door to nowhere. We've had another one of those in the last few years that has been removed or is proposed to be removed. Here's the windows. This is actually on the east side of the house. And this is actually still on the east, has a little pop out, and then a better view of the front porch. This is the new location proposed for the egress window. Oops. Oh, it's going for me. Okay. So when the applicant provided me the packet, which was very well put together, thank you very much. Makes my job a little easier. I appreciate that. I did ask for a little bit more information regarding, as you all know, can the windows be replaced or can they be repaired? And ideally, what we would like is to have the windows repaired rather than replaced. However, we do also realize that dry rot and years of not being maintained does tend to not do well on windows. That appears to be the case with these windows that are requested today. This is the request, or a similar, or excuse me, what an egress window will look like. The applicant did state that the mullion design will actually be determined at a later date. It'll be complementary to the house. And then just to kind of give you a look at what is existing there. So he currently has the windows boarded up due to, they're just not secure. It sounds like they're about ready to fall out and or be rot in place. Going to give you an idea of some repairs that appear that had happened over the years. Just some of the glazing there. It's in pretty rough shape. This is some interior photos showing the state of disrepair of the windows. Obviously not an original glass that is installed in, more of an obscuring glass. Kind of give you some details of the dry rot and the weather damage that has occurred over the years. And again, just to give you an idea. Oops, that one's a really important one. It's got a great looking spider on it. But you can kind of see really close. Take a look at that. You can definitely see there's been some damage over the years. Current state, this will give you a little idea as to what it looks like right now in order to secure his home. Window replacement example. So the Marvin Elevate new construction is actually, these are built to replicate historic homes. Most of them are custom. Some of them have tilt-in sashes, but this is probably going to be an entire window replacement looking at what is there. There's not much to repair. It's more replace. Okay, so I'm going to go back here. So in terms of the criterion, I struggled a little bit with this. As you recall or remember seeing, the applicant had requested multiple new windows in his basement. And I did quite a bit of research, taking a look and trying to find out, basements, obviously the use of basements was not originally used to be inhabited. It was more so for storage of goods and other items. So, the additional windows is not a traditional, something that you would traditionally see. I wish I would have put another photo at the end. Sorry about this, but I want to kind of show you. So what I did is I took a look at the windows that would be replaced, which is the green. And what I'm requesting is, or what I'm proposing to the Historic Landmark Commission, oh dear, Dawn, sorry, is that all of the windows that are marked in green to be replaced, as well as removal of the door to nowhere, replaced with siding, and that the Historic Landmark Commission allow for a new egress window. So only the addition of one window and not approving all of the blue proposed locations. And the reason that I made that recommendation to the commission is that we have criterion that specifically details that the property needs to be recognized as a physical record of its time, place, and use, and that the historic character be retained. So I was concerned that by adding these additional windows, it would be creating a false sense of history, and that it would be 6 additional windows. And I just thought it would be a little bit too much and too much of a modification to be considered something that I'd want to approve. So staff does recommend that the one additional window, replacement of all the existing windows, and removal of the door be approved today. And sorry, I'm going to spare you from having to watch my whole show here if I can get it. One of these days, get it under. Okay, there we go. Okay. So staff's conclusion is that in all respects, this application number 20322 meets the standards of the Secretary of Interior, as well as the Dallas Municipal Code Title 1112, with 6 conditions of approval. And my conditions recommended included number 2, that only one additional egress window in the basement be approved with this application. So you, as the commission, can make a determination if you would like to approve those additional 6 windows, or if you would like to go with staff's recommendation. And that concludes my staff report. If you have any questions of staff.
Do you have anything you'd like to ask on before we turn it over to the man that's gonna do all this work? Ask his fine opinion on how he's gonna do it.
Can you just clarify the 6 windows and the historic nature of that, and what
Absolutely.
that's the physical record aspect of that?
So the way that our code, our code follows the Secretary of Interior standards, which are the federal guidelines for historic preservation. And while we know, let me stop the share on this here really quick. Oh, that's not what I went away. While we, meaning the Historic Landmark Commission and this group, understands that uses that may have been, or buildings that may have been used one way you obviously need to be a little bit flexible and allow for use, a different use or more modern use. Use of the building and the basement for residential absolutely is something that could be done. However, I believe going through the criterion, it appears additional windows in a basement will detract from the historic integrity of the building. So when you look at the building, I think it'll draw way too much attention to that basement. But you don't have to agree with me on that. So I just think it would be a little bit too much in terms of architectural features, because your focus would then not be on the Victorian home, and it would actually be on the basement.
Got it. So if he just has the one egress window, then that satisfies his requirement for
Egress,
safety.
right? I mean, and what could potentially happen too is, let's say he does look to reuse that building or turn it into an apartment or turn it into an accessory dwelling unit. And then he would need let's say he needs an additional window for egress and works through building codes. Then he could come back at a later date and make that request to you. So, I just don't think right now it just doesn't appear to meet the criterion right now. And it could be something later that one of those windows that they're looking to replace right now needs to be larger and be an egress window. And then it needs to be enlarged in order to have a bedroom or living space in that area.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
If there's no further questions to staff, I would like Mr. Robinson to identify himself and give us his address so that it goes in the record, and then you tell us why you're doing all this.
You bet. My name is George Robertson. I'm currently residing at 207 West 4th here in the Dalles. Doing my best to restore a beautiful antique home. And I think that we're all looking pretty much for the same thing, to restore and replace a classic element in this town. And so first off, I'd like to thank staff for a really good report. And, it's very clear, very concise, I understand exactly what the guiding principles are. And I very much respect the work that has gone into it and highly appreciate this. And also all of your assistance, even before I bought this house.
Yes,
And
thank you.
absolutely a pleasure working with you, and everyone's been gracious and professional, and so I really appreciate all the work. In order of appearance, I have plenty to keep me entertained at that house at the current time, and so I'm working hard to get a lot of things done. I really wanted to have it secure and get some light in that basement, and it's completely unsecurable, and it is, and that's why the windows are all boarded up. So as I continue the restoration of the top 2 floors, in order of appearance, if granted, then I will proceed to remove that exterior door to nowhere and replace it with like-kind materials, and not just in a patch, just replace that whole wall and get it looking into an original condition, because it's very important to me. And then the next order of business for me is to order some windows so that I can make this place secure, more thermally protected. Made great strides in keeping the water from coming into that house and rotting things out. And so this is really an important step to that, and also a reward for that work. And then finally, as I finish off the second floor, then my attention will turn to the basement. And I've made it dry and it's got good head height. And so I'd like to utilize it for something. And that front area would be, a potential bedroom. I don't have an exact plan on it yet, but I will. And so I just wanted to make sure that it was going to be allowable, and it sounds like it will be. And then as far as the other windows, it was a bit of a catch-all because I wasn't sure exactly how it was going to be out, and I wanted to see the commission's feel on what I will grant is not a traditional way of finishing out the basement. I have examples, but it's more rare than an example of period. And so I understand where you're coming from with that. I might darken your door again and ask for something later, but for the time being, I'm totally happy with the staff comments and your recommendations.
Any one of you commissioners like to ask him anything specifically at this point on these plans? We're listening to kind of a 2 stories. We're listening to one from what was recommended and one with your plan, but I don't know when we will actually take that subject on. We're looking also at the door. No one has mentioned that yet. I don't think hardly. It was mentioned, but I mean, there's nothing there that you're having any problem with on the replacing that door and finding siding enough to fill that hole.
To be determined. So I wasn't sure exactly what the fate of it was going to be. There's like-kind siding around the house. I'm going to chop out a piece and go looking for a direct replacement for that lumber.
Because that's always a sore point when you put a window back or take a window out and matching it back in so it looks like it should never been gone. And I'm quite a tall fellow that could walk in and out of that door. That was a big step.
Big step. First step. That's what my insurance agent said.
Was there a porch and a porch there?
Before I bought the house, it was determined that there was both a rod and sewer line and a leaking oil tank in the backyard. And it was very important to me before I bought that house that they take it out, that they remove it. And in so doing, they needed to remove the porch that was once there.
Oh, okay. Well, it all is.
So they did have egress onto a porch and then the side yard, but that's all gone.
Okay. At this point, is there anyone here that would like to testify against this, would be an opponent to this project that with or without the window subject? Is there anyone that got any reason to challenge this? Hearing none, we will open it for anyone who wants to just talk about this and the neighborhood and so on and so forth. Hearing none again. Oh, here he is. Please identify yourself and tell us what you've got there.
Charles Langley. I live 200 West Fourth, directly across the street from George's property. I just am here in support of him. We're going to have opportunity for everybody that was in support to speak for the opposition. But at any rate, I'm very pleased with the work he's done so far and the things that have been done to improve the outside and the front of the house in particular. I've watched him rebuild the wooden steps outside in the front that were rotted away and replace the railing in the front, so that from my viewpoint, looking out the front window, looking across toward his property, it's much nicer in appearance and more natural and historic to what it originally was. So I don't really have too much of an opinion about all those windows, extra windows he wanted to add, except that it seems like I'd maybe let him experiment putting one in the back on the alley side. No one's ever going to see it anyway, whether it's there or not. But instead of doing the ones around in front that would be visible, I would really allow that one that he's proposing in the back that would be facing toward the garage. See how that comes out. We'll make a decision about future windows. That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. You see, we haven't discussed a compromise on options or anything of this nature. And I suppose it can't be ignored forever. We're going to have to discuss it. So I don't know. Mr. Langley just put us up with an option. There isn't an option.
I have a question around that. Is it
Yeah.
possible? What I'm seeing are the windows, the traditional windows, and then I see the example of what he wants to put in.
Mhm.
And it seems as though the trim on the exterior, if that was to be maintained or replaced in like kind, if that window would function the way that you want it to function, so that he could replace the windows, keep the trim, and then have, the best of both worlds. Does that make sense? Because it seems like there's a lot of effort on the trim and what's going on around it.
And I think that, and George may be able to better answer this, I believe a lot of that is rotten, at least from the photos that I saw. So he will probably be replacing all of the wood there with so it'll look similarly from the outside. And the window is going to be basically, it'll be a whole window unit that will be replaced. And correct me if that's not right.
No, and so in addition to the windows and the casing, and in some cases the sills being pretty well rotted out, there is a fair amount of work to do. But I'm really confident, I've done this before in a historic home, but it's going to look the same and it's going to function. And so, I will have adequate sill rate in order to have an awning window to swing. I'm going to have ample depth within the wall in order to place them so they look identically. I'm able to custom order these windows. They're fiberglass window and they paint up and they look like wood, and it's really a high quality product. We use them as well. So I don't, in some of the windows being replaced, they have 2 mullions in them. And so I'm hoping to make those the most historic ones, the standard for the other ones, because it's kind of a mixed bag. Some, older windows, some replacement windows, some different sizes. But I'm really hoping to just create the trim, the look, and the molds of the original, most antique window. So that's really what the goal is.
And is that what you featured, Don, in one of the pictures, I think, with the
Correct. So yes, we would be,
trim?
he would be making some of those custom windows. They actually, Marvin and I want to say, Milgard, they really have stepped their game up in terms of providing windows that are very compatible to historic districts and historic home for restoration. Whoops, let me go back here. So
The one I was kind of looking at was page 20.
does it have a number on the bottom of that photo?
I guess it's just page 20 in the packet. Yeah, see there, that's a good example of it, right? So you had the two juxtaposed where your Marvin window and then it's juxtaposed with, I think maybe it's another angle on this one. So what you're thinking is you can replicate the trim, do all that, but then still have this new window inside of that? So would it, if we could, Chairman, would we be able to put a motion in on the recommendation or the idea that we can do a sample on the backside and take a look at that, see how he did with that and see if it fits in?
I'm going to take something upon myself, and I'll have to ask staff if we're on the right track. But why don't we accept this application to bring up discussion vote on by just replacing the original windows now and plus the egress window? And then we'll open the subject back up again and see if you have a compromise that you would like to offer us on not all, but some, or something of that nature. Because we're going to get ourselves thoroughly confused voting on both of these subjects at the same time. Now, that's just thought that comes to me. I have no problem with replacing the original windows, and I'm sure that they're going to be doable. And I'm sure they're going to look a bit better than they look now, especially on the outside, inside. But let's try to keep our criteria right now to one subject, and then we'll go back to the other if that's satisfactory with the commission. And is that satisfactory with the applicant?
It is.
So we have had the opponents, the proponents, only looking at the application as the city is looking, as staff is looking at it right now. If there any discussion that you need, I think we're pretty well covered that the windows can be installed and that are going to be, you have to replace that bottom wooden sill. I'll bet you could stick a screwdriver all the way through that. It's an old house.
Those bugs are coming and going unimpeded.
And you're gonna have to bring the concrete saw man in. I know what you're looking at. You're gonna have to bring the concrete saw man in to put your egress window in. And so, but we can't confuse them right now. Please don't. So I don't know, Don, would it be proper to close the public hearing? Or can we just vote on this without closing the public hearing?
So what I would suggest is maybe go ahead and close the public hearing and that you discuss your options. So your options would be, number one would be staff's recommendation, which is to allow one egress window, replacement of all windows and the door. Number two, sounds like you are contemplating Mr. Langley's comment, which was actually an excellent idea. So option number two would be to discuss replacement of all windows, one egress window and one window on the east elevation, or excuse me, the north elevation or the back of the building. And then the third option would be the applicant's original request, which is to add 6 additional windows, one egress window, and replace all windows and one door. So if you want to do it that way, you could close the hearing and you can talk which direction you want to go, and then maybe someone will issue a.
I'm just trying to speed this as best I can, and we're going to confuse yourself if we try to take on any more than maybe the original application, and then we can come back and talk about putting an extra window for now, or the door is always open. You can come back, and maybe we won't be here if we keep. But come back to us. So would one of the commissioners like to make a motion that we approve this application with X number of windows to be replaced and the egress window and all that sort of stuff, but a number on it? And
Chair McNary, excuse me, sorry, we need to close the public hearing if you're going to ask for a motion.
pardon?
We have to close the public hearing.
Oh, yeah, oh, we do have to close it
We'll
there.
have to- Yeah, so you
That's
guys,
what I
can-
was
you can,
asking
you
you.
can deliberate and talk about an option, but if you're going to ask for a motion, that public hearing does need to be closed.
Okay, well,
Sorry.
I'm gonna close the public hearing then at this point, and we'll take up what the application is. We'll rewrite the application proceed. The public hearing is closed. That means that we as commissioners, with the help of whoever we call upon to make our decision. And so, Tom, I heard you talking. I like what you're saying. You care to make a motion with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 original windows? And
Is that the staff report? This,
no, no,
what Don
we've had staff
recommends?
report.
I mean, what Don's recommending,
Yeah.
the staff, okay.
Well, hash it out. We're here. The three of us have got to do it.
I think Don had presented three options. I think the one is we could approve the application with the staff recommendation at this time, which would be the removal of the door, would be the inclusion of a new egress window, and then would be the replacement of the existing windows as such. I think if I understood correctly, with the replacement of these windows, we would then have an understanding of how that would be accomplished by the owner and with the trim and the window, and then we could go to a second application for the owner at that time. So I would put a motion in that we approve the staff recommendation as in the application at this time.
Sounds doable to me. Is there any way, Don, that you can write it in a form that is, you got pretty good at that, typing under this,
Let's do.
maybe you got it. But I don't know if you're packed into this thing.
Commissioner Stevenson, if I do have a proposed motion, if you'd like to read it.
Oh, yes.
It's right there.
So right here we have.
That's it.
So I recommend and provide a motion to move to approve application HLC number 203-22 with the 6 proposed conditions of approval based on the findings of fact detailed in staff report.
I second that motion.
Any further discussion amongst us? We're the ones that are gonna vote on it now.
All right, I think.
So I'm gonna call for the question myself.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now that portion of it is passed. I'm gonna take time out here and at least expose him so we don't think he's trying to be done in. This has got a funny set of parliamentary rules for this commission. And that is, if you're here, you gotta vote.
Mhm.
And it makes no difference if it's me or I can make motions, I can second things, but there's none of that stuff for leaving the president out of that particular aspect. So if you're here, you're voting, and if you leave, we don't vote because we won't have a quorum at that time. Okay, that's just a little thing that someday we'll get it straightened out if you stay on the commission long enough. So that motion passed. Now we're back to opening the public hearing again, proceed and see if the applicant would like to offer us a window for an example or offers whatever. Isn't that what he wanted to, one of the added ones?
Okay, so
Are you reopening the hearing, Chairman Gary?
Yes,
okay, so we vote, you took a vote, you took a motion and a vote, so that decision.
that was
has
the
been done.
original windows. We're replacing the original
Okay.
plus their egress, right?
Okay, right.
And
So-
now
so-
he has an application or a plan to replace, add new windows.
Okay, so,
That's the subject I'd like to see us
Okay.
we're talking about now.
it sounds like we may need to take a step back. So what we need to do is come up with one decision today. So one decision can be what you just voted on, and I guess we could probably negate that. If you want to make a different motion to allow for an additional window, like Mr. Langley had suggested, that is something you could just modify the recommendation or the motion to include a condition to be modified to allow for an additional window. So we've already kind of.
That's where I'd like to be right now. That's where I'd like this meeting to be.
Okay,
Are we ready to discuss that? And I don't know how we get it into our,
okay, so we already
Or-
just voted on that. So what we need to do is we need to have you reopen the public hearing and we're going to basically, if your commissioners are wanting to negate the vote that was just taken. So the vote, I mean, you guys can have a discussion saying, yeah, I like that, or I think this is a better idea. And then, but the motion should be what the final decision is for the commission.
May I offer a suggestion?
yeah,
So we have to wait for him to open the
Oh.
public hearing,
Well,
sorry.
I mean, my suggestion is not to reopen it. My suggestion would be to let the hearing decision stand. And because I'm in the process of figuring out what I'm doing with that property, and that back window is going to be one of the last things that I would address. I'm not sure where I want it, and I have to come back in front of you guys anyway. So let me do my thing, impress you with the windows that you have approved. And when I figure out the next step, I'll just come back and talk to you about that and make sure we have a complete understanding of
That sounds
exactly where
good.
that window's going to be.
you made life so much easier.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, George. Yes. Awesome.
I
Okay.
was confused on how
Okay.
we were gonna handle it.
Great.
Maybe we should have talked about it earlier, but we don't need to.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right,
And
so he is approved. All right.
have your day in the sun here again in a few minutes. So now to get back to my agenda. And we're going to look at application, historic landmark application 204-22. And I do not notice an addition to the crowd, so we're going to go with the reading.
We do have an addition. Mr. Carpenter is joining the meeting.
Ah, there he is.
There he is.
Well, we gotta have him, we know. Anyhow, I can ask,
Thank you,
George, very much.
thank you.
Thanks, George.
The big thing we gotta say, is there any conflict of interest on Mr. Carpenter's application?
Okay.
I'm sorry, Chairman Gary. You either need to read the rules or maybe let one of the other commissioners read the rules because we do have a different group now. The addition of Mr. Carpenter makes that necessary. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, in past, we haven't. In past, we've just checked.
Only if no one new has been here, but with a new person, we have to read.
Well, okay, we will do that. I'll do it again. I got a drink of water to start with, so
Would
You're
you
gonna
like,
do it.
would you like Commissioner Agee or Commissioner Stevenson to read?
you want to read them?
I'll do my best.
Well, you
So
can
it's
do it.
just from here?
Yeah,
Okay,
and we're using this now.
the substance.
No, I mean, you gotta, this goes in there.
Oh, so,
Forgot my finger on it.
okay, so. Okay. HLC application 204-22, Todd Carpenter and Carla McQuay, 215 East Second Street. Request approval to restore original windows at the street level alley, add safety railing, and restore the doorway access with a roll-up door to a second level patio area. And then I start the rules, right? Okay. All righty. The substantive criteria upon which the Historic Landmarks Commission will base its decision in this matter are contained in the city's comprehensive plan and land use development ordinances. A public hearing is required by law and certain rules apply. First and foremost, you must be recognized by the chair in order to speak and present testimony. When recognized by the chair, please state your name and mailing address for the record. The hearing is required by law to be recorded. Generally, the public hearing procedure is as follows. Prior to the public hearing, a determination will be made of the qualifications of the commission members and allow for challenges from the audience. I will open the public hearing with a staff report. The purpose of the staff report is to further identify the applicable criteria of the application being considered and to provide background information about the application. 2, after the staff report, we will hear testimony from the proponents, those persons in favor of the application. 3, next, there will be the testimony from the opponents, those not in favor of the application. 4, next, there will be testimony from anyone else who wishes to offer testimony or ask questions. 5, then to honor the right of rebuttal, we will again hear from those in favor of the application. 6, to expedite the hearing, the commission members may ask questions of the persons as they testify. When this process has concluded, we will close the public testimony portion of the hearing. During the hearing, some important standards apply. First of all, those who testify must hold their testimony to the decision criteria. As in all land use hearings, there are a complete set of rules, procedures, and criteria we must follow. Second, failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the commission members and parties an opportunity to respond to that issue precludes an appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals based on that issue. Third, the failure of an applicant to raise constitutional or other issues relating to proposed conditions of approval with details specific enough to allow the city to respond to the issue precludes an action for damages in the circuit court. 4th, prior to the conclusion of the public hearing, any participant may request an opportunity to present additional evidence, arguments, or testimony regarding the application. If such a request is made, the law states the commission must grant the request by either continuing the hearing to a time or date at least 7 days from the date of the initial hearing, or the record must be kept open for a period of at least 7 days. Is that it? There you go.
Good will. Good. Thank you. All right. Don, is there any
Ex parte.
contact with any commission members?
No, sir.
All right. We already know we're qualified. So I'm going to call upon staff now to read us the application.
Need to open the public hearing, Chair.
More public hearing.
All
pardon me.
right, awesome. Thank you. Oops. Sorry, it's been one of those days already. There we go. So Paula got me a great little clicker for the slideshow, and then it doesn't have the right adapter. So thank you for your patience. It's not Paula's fault. Excuse me. That's not what I meant. She was trying to help me. So I'm going to go. Here we go. Thank you. Thank you, Chair McNary and Commissioner Eggy. That was a great read. Thank you. This application is for HLC 204-22 for Mr. Todd Carpenter and Ms. Carla McQuaid. This building we've discussed numerous times, and it's kind of exciting to see all of your approvals continue to move forward for this development in this block. Vicinity Map, just to kind of give you an idea where we're looking. This is the property. It is part of the original Recreation Cafe. So current conditions, the applicant did provide some application or some photographs of the interior of the building to kind of give you an idea of what they're looking to do, which includes removal of brick that was put in place for 2 windows and have those be reopened to be windows. There's the exterior, and also will include an exterior, excuse me, I went a little too far. And include opening up a doorway onto the patio that was recently approved by the Historic Landmark Commission. So property is located at 215 East Second Street. A notification was published in the local newspaper. Property owners within 100 feet, as well as the State Historic Preservation Office. Staff is recommending approval with conditions based on findings of fact. So I'm not going to go too deep into this because we've been through this property so many times. Okay, so here is the back. Two windows that will be facing the alleyway. And as you can see, there was a temporary window put in place that will be removed, and we'll have full fixed glass windows that are will be going back on the rear of that building, which will match more original. Give you an idea. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this is actually a view from the corner, kind of gives you an idea. In addition to the windows and the door opening, the applicant is also proposing some railings above the deck area and the cool thing about it, and I don't know if you all notice that in the paper, in the staff report, is that it will be the old fire escape materials that were used or from the neighboring building. So proposed window installations, it'll be something similar to this. This kind of gives you taking a look at, oh wait, maybe this is the wrong one. Whoops, wrong slide, excuse me. It'll be a fixed window. So here's the actual fixed window installations. Apologies for the previous slide. And then here is the door opening. So this is the existing condition, and this is the proposed. It'll be similar to a roll-up door that you approved for the patio on the adjacent building. The proposed railing design is what you're seeing here. So it's currently in midst of fabrication. As I stated, it's from the last stop, or the old Bank Hotel rear fire access. And what they're doing is repurposing that stair. So it's kind of cool. It's got a little bit of a rustic look. Obviously, in order to meet building codes, they will be having to add additional spacers in there to ensure that it does meet that requirement. Conclusion, staff believes that this application, HLC 204, meets the standards of Secretary of Interior and the Dalles Municipal Code, Title 1112, Historic Resources, with 8 conditions of approval. That includes basically substantial conformance to the pictures that were provided. Use of reflective or smoked glass would be prohibited for the window. And whenever possible, natural color of materials shall be retained. Modification of the rear facade shall not alter the essential form integrity of the building. Utmost care will be taken with construction. Applicants will be required to submit their plans to both City of the Dalles as well as building codes. Cleaning of the historic structure requires as gentle as possible. No harsh chemical or sandblasting. Number 7, replacement materials necessary for restoration should be compatible in quality, color, texture, finish, and dimension, to the original materials. And number 8, the applicants are required to notify the Community Development Department of any alteration of the approved plans. And that concludes my staff report. Do you have any questions of staff?
So is that roll-up door the same size as what the existing door was?
Right. So
yeah.
that is the intention, is to use that existing bricked-in area and provide and basically open that back up. Let me get down to that slide, show you. And so that was just kind of an example. I had asked the applicant to provide me an example. Obviously, to scale, it does not appear. So it would be the same size as what that opening is there, where the brick, where you see the cutter or where it's cut out. It does look like they had a header that was also removed with that.
Yeah.
Dawn, this is Julie. A question about when you show the inside of that wall with the 2 windows in it, there's a circular section that's also bricked in. What was that? And is that something that Todd intends to do anything with?
We can, let me take a look. That's a great question.
That one right there with the blue floor.
Okay.
Yeah, 29.
Oh,
put a neat little window in there.
Wondering if that was a light. Or duct. Oh, that could have been some duct or maybe like a chimney. So we can ask the applicant. That's a great question. Let's ask Mr. Carpenter because I have no idea.
I'll bet it was a duct or a
Okay. Well, yes.
stovepipe or something.
Do you want me
It
to,
is, yeah.
do you want me to chime in? or-
Let's wait till
Okay.
almost there, Bob. I think I've completed my staff report. So you're welcome to move forward. Thanks.
I am just looking at the examples of windows. They're not relationship to where the paint marks are on the building. My rule, I mean, that little bitty window paint in that. So they're gonna be a much larger window put in there.
Correct. So the windows that you're seeing here, so you'll see where that small window is, that's going to be removed and they're going to be doing large picture glass windows will be there. So fixed pane.
Right, there won't be a double hung or.
That is correct. I actually had put that slide in because I had not talked to Mr. Carpenter. So I think I forgot to pull that slide out because I wanted to see what kind of window he was putting in.
Now,
My bad.
where in the picture that we had, I did not see where they painted out the garage door or whatever you want, roll up door. Is that going to be the same size as the opening on the picture on page 42?
So the plan is that on this, so this shows the current condition and you see the different brick where this
Yeah.
obviously appears to be new. So that brick, that area will be removed and a door will be fit to go into that location. So it's not going to be bigger. And it is a little bit deceiving in terms of looking at the other example. So it will not be, that's more of a garage door, but just to give you an idea of what you'd be looking at or what it could look like.
Okay, good. I just wondered if the picture that we have here is quite a bit out of proportion to where that roll-up door is designed to go, which is fine. I'm not having any problem with it either way.
Me neither.
If we have our staff report, Todd, you're somewhere out there. Good to see you. You'll have to report in for the record of who you are and where you're abiding. And then go ahead and tell us how wonderful this project's gonna be.
Hi, thank you. I'm Todd Carpenter, 216 East 5th Street for Paula. I'm so sorry for being late tonight. I was meeting actually with a contractor about the property next door and he's kind of talked my ear off. But yeah, so to answer all your questions, that round piece that you saw back there, that I believe was original to the brick. So there was an extra facade placed on the outside of the brick, which is that CMU. The two big plate glass windows were left in there with the CMU. I don't have the round brick didn't, or the round window didn't, I don't think went all the way through when they put the CMU in. I think they closed that in. I'd be happy to look at trying to make that work. I don't know. I think we could probably do it. It's just time and money. And I think it's very cool. So yeah, I mean, if you guys want to write that in, I'd be happy to, consider that as well. I like the feature as well, but it wasn't part of the CMU when they put the CMU on. And as Don said, you can see the headers in there. You can see the window sills that were there, and we're just planning on putting, a wood plate glass window, or maybe even similar to what we did at Last Stop, where we did the grids with the wood sashes on those two. And then upstairs on the area that is bricked in for the door, I told Dawn I could either do, I'm not really opposed to doing a wood door like we have at Last Stop, like a double wood door. It's just for the space that existed prior with the header in there. I don't necessarily need, I was standing out there the other day and I don't necessarily need a roll-up door. We could do a double door. It might be actually more functional up there than a roll-up door actually because of the wind and stuff. So I could go either way. The roll-up door is probably not going to be wood. If we did a double door, it could be wood, like we have at Last Stop. So that would be kind of actually nice to do, I think. So I'm good with either, all those options. And I'll take any questions you guys have. Yeah, it's a fun project. This all came up after we finished and got temporary occupancy and started doing everything downstairs and ordering equipment and everything. Carl said, we really need to put those windows in. So that's why we're coming back to you on that. We didn't actually notice them before.
You covered your subjects there. Okay, I'm having just a little bit of a problem, much better than there was last month hearing that here, but okay. Is there any proponents that want to step up here, say why this shouldn't happen? Hearing none, I'm gonna ask for if there's anyone that's got a comment either for or against or any way related to this subject or application. Hearing none again, I'll ask the commission, do you have any further questions you would like to ask Mr. Todd?
I don't.
I don't.
Okay. Any further questions you would like to ask staff? We can refer to staff, but we are not really supposed to refer back to the applicant. So if that's the case, I get to run the gavel and I'm going to close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed and it should stay closed unless we have a real problem. We are now going to deliberate amongst the three of us to this application. And if you got anything that you like, don't like, changes you'd like to see be talked about. And what?
Oh, sorry to butt
No.
in, but when he mentioned that roller door could be two wooden doors.
Yeah.
Is that something we're going to take up now, or is that
I'm
just something added on?
No, you're on the right track. You're on the right track because that was in his original application, but he found out that maybe he doesn't really want to do that. Is that right, Don?
Right. So what you could do, so this would be similar to the previous application, you could have me modify one of the conditions of approval to allow or give him the flexibility, if you want to do it that way, to prove it to that you could approve the roll-up door and or wooden like French doors is more so similar to what he has on the front of Last Stop. So you could approve it with a modification, and I would just write a condition of approval, and if you would like to do that.
Seem to be happy with the wooden doors, and they certainly do look more historically correct than a roller door. But everything
Absolutely.
they've done has been wonderful. So I think either way, but I kind of like that wooden door, double door thing, if he's happy to do that.
Well,
What do you think?
the only thing I can tell you then is when we do make that motion, and I hope it's very soon, to approve or disapprove, that we write that into a motion that we would give him the flexibility, or we could say you will use the wooden door. Whatever we want to do as far as his application. So, Scott.
So Julie's on our commission, yeah?
Julie is
advisor.
advisory. So she, for discussions and everything, Julie just does not have voting capacity, but she is
Okay.
absolutely there for.
Julie,
any
would you
questions.
mind clarifying what your question was and what, because that seemed to lead us in a different direction.
The round?
I was curious about the, between the two windows that are going to be made into solid windows, I was curious about a round area that was bricked in.
Okay.
But it was just curiosity. I wasn't really suggesting that anything be changed
Okay.
done with it.
Okay, good. And then we got to the rolled up door versus the wooden door, just out of the applicant's preference. Is that right? How did we get to this decision point?
So decision, so you guys are just in discussions right now. So
Right.
you can decide if you want to go wooden doors, or you can decide if you want what was originally suggested,
Mm.
or you can potentially give them the option to do either.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so Todd just seemed to be a little bit ambivalent and sound like he was trying to figure out what he wanted to do, right?
I would agree.
So, but the doors are metal. That seemed to be a concern. Is
So-
that right?
So in my staff report, I detailed, and it was similar to the previous approval that was given. And where that door is, it's going to be pretty obscured. So it's not going to be very, even though it's on the exterior of a building, it's going to be opening up onto a patio that's kind of in a building envelope. So
Yeah.
in terms of, if that was an exterior door, I would definitely be encouraging you to do the wood clad similar to last stop. But because it is pretty obscured, it's not going to be really visible from the public right of way. That's where I felt it was going to be pretty, minimally visible and be comfortable with a non-traditional type door.
Right.
So, I mean, if
Now,
you
what's
want,
happening on the patio? What's
Right.
happening out there?
so patio, so the adjacent buildings, he actually has received approval for a facade improvement that does include, I'm just going off my memory, about 30 feet to 40 feet deep, or 30 feet deep in, that will be a bar, and then it'll be a very open patio, open air seating, and then have some railing. So that'll be between the last stop and this building. That'll be basically like a community space inside of a building, just kind of
Right.
outdoor seating.
And so this door, this entry will be
Putting in that area.
access to both of these.
Yep, opening it up.
So if it's access to both, and there seems to be sort of a standard on the front facade that faces onto Second Street.
No, that window, that other roll-up door.
So that
is
other
not
roll-up
going to
door
be accessed.
Does back up to that patio, so this existing patio. So if you wanted the
Yeah.
continuity, going with a metal roll-up door would be similar. Or if you wanted to allow him the flexibility to be a little bit more traditional,
Mhm.
you could do that or require it.
It's kind of hard to visualize
It-
what's
it-
going on. I mean,
it is.
Yeah, it'd be sort of difficult.
And I think that this application being, I think we're number 7 with Mr. Carpenter and Ms. McQuaid, and that kind of, Todd kind of
Yeah.
said it a little earlier, you start opening things up, you don't realize what you're getting into with these old buildings and thinking about
Right.
what we can use for these
Don, could
spaces.
we leave it as an option for Todd and Carla to decide which one, when they get to it, they could, we could approve either door,
Right.
the roll up or the double wood. Is that a option that sounds
That,
good?
you bet. That's exactly why they
Leave it up to them.
hired us and sent us down here with big money.
Yeah. Wait, I didn't get my money. We'll talk later.
We'll talk later, right? Well, so he is the one that is taking advantage of the option of doing it. And I see a lot of sense. We're still trying to talk historic, but we're not historic. This building has been butchered, bombed, and everything else, so it really has lost its historic status. But that doesn't change the neighborhood. That doesn't change what he has done on both sides of the, and so this roller door, and I'm a little lost because of maybe it was a meeting or 3 meetings or 4 meetings before, but I thought the other roller door was kind of going to be enclosed in the building.
So it'll be set back approximately 80 feet from the rear wall. That's why it's pretty much, you're not going to be able to see it from the alleyway unless you're on a helicopter. So yeah, it would be very difficult to see those roll-up doors from either Court Street and or First Street. So it's set back in, it's obscured,
Oh.
right? The previous ones were.
This one, there'd be no hiding this one.
Well, yeah, no, it'll be opening up onto that same area. So it's going to be very similar. I would suggest, Todd and I, when we talked earlier, he kind of mentioned maybe doing those doors, and I just didn't really drop that into the staff report. But I mean, I think you could go either direction in terms of, a lot of it's going to be aesthetics, what he's wanting to, because in a sense, again, it is an exterior wall, but it's acting more so like an interior wall in terms of what does he want his interior of that building to look, and what kind of feel does he want for that ice cream shop?
I'm 100% okay working with staff on the door. And I'm also 100% okay with you guys saying you want double wooden doors. I'm totally okay with that. I'm comfortable with either option. Sorry, I know I'm not supposed to do that.
So should we make the choice for him or leave it up to him? on those
Well,
doors?
we can leave it up to him. And that's what he's asking us for.
Yeah, I guess what my curiosity is, I'm just a little lost of the connection with the previous space and what's going on. It might be, is it a possibility of separating out, let's approve the 2 windows at this time that he wants to put in, and then maybe if we wanted to get more information on how it would look with double doors, maybe put together a rendering or a drawing of it to show this connection and how the spaces are working together. That's where I get lost.
I feel like they've done such an excellent job and they've come to us so many times that I don't want to say, well, come back and give us another go. I think we should make a decision on that or give him the option to decide on that one now and just keep moving with his project. It's been such an asset to the downstairs town.
So is it gonna hold them up if we don't decide today?
That is correct, right? So, I mean, and you do have that as an option. And if you would like, I can give you a potential new condition of approval if you want to entertain potentially giving him that option. I mean, up to you.
I mean, I'm gonna defer to the chairman on this. I think, either direction. I'm coming late to this and haven't seen these 7 other iterations of this project. So I don't feel that I can speak to the continuity of what's happening with the others. So it sounds like if we leave him the 2 options and we're all comfortable with doing that, and we approve the 2, we approve what the staff has recommended with this caveat perhaps that he can decide at his discretion between the 2 windows, then that works for me.
What do you think, Chair? Is it?
Yeah, we're,
Dawn, you just have to do
Yeah,
just add
so
that to it. It's pretty easy.
Would you like me to kind of give you a stab at another condition of approval we can add?
I
sounds
think Scott's got the right idea. I just think that we ought to leave it in the hands of the applicant. I am well acquainted enough with this man that I feel confident that if he doesn't feel comfortable with either option, he won't be afraid to come back and say, I don't like either one of them. But I don't think he'll come back and say, you figure it out. But nevertheless, Bev keeps trying to tell me in my ear that probably isn't working right well, but he's done a good job so far. He's treated everything with the best imagination we can use on that particular application. I mean, that location. And I love letting him have his choice, and we can come back if he wants to talk about it, but he got both. He can go either way he wants right now.
He seems
That's
happy.
and I don't know just how to word that in there.
Okay, so would you like me to give you a potential new condition of approval number 9?
Certainly, you put
Okay.
up something here, we'll tell you whether we like it or
I
not.
can't type it, but I can say it. So I'm proposing a condition of approval for number 9 to read, applicant will be given the option to make a final decision on the door replacement. Either roll up, actually, let's do either metal roll up or wood-clad French doors will be allowed. And then that gives him an option to do, if he wants to have the continuity of the existing deck so that it matches, and or if he wants a little bit more of a historic feel and have the wood clad that are similar to the last stop.
You want to make that motion, Scott? Bev, you want to make it?
I'll get something written here.
Last one, that was
Oh. Oh, boy. Okay.
Gosh.
All you gotta do is say, we'll take it as,
I make a motion
And we're
that,
gonna-
like John
Oh,
Lon
what Dawn
said,
said? Okay, yeah.
HLC application 204-22, Todd Carpenter and Carla McQuay. Is this how you do it, Don?
Mhm.
215 East Second Street request. Oh, wait. I make a motion that we approve it as Don made the changes
With the additional condition of
addition-
approval number 9.
with the additional approval number 9.
9. Jim.
I second it.
Hey, there, we're moving forward now.
I garbled it. You seconded.
You did wonderful.
Thank you.
One of the reasons we're meeting here is to try to consolidate, stop the water from running uphill and so on and so forth on these applications. And we're not expected to solve them, but if we'll just clean out what we're doing and say this is what we're gonna recommend they do. So I'm gonna call for a vote on that very motion. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? We don't hear any of that, so it passed unanimously. Todd, thank you very much. I hope we haven't put you in jeopardy.
No, thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. I'll work with staff on that. Thank you. It's good to see some new faces, Scott.
We're gonna have to figure out next month how we're gonna get Dawn to drop by and write us up a solution to save our lives.
No, you'll be fine.
Okay.
Yes.
We gotta go back to
Caitlin's
page one.
I've worked with her. She's very capable. So I think the baton is going to be passed well.
We gotta go back to page one now, don't,
Okay.
we're
Phase
going
one.
back to the resolutions.
All right.
If you need numbers, they're on the agenda sheet.
I do
And,
actually have motions also on the screen if you would like, just if you'd like to read straight
Oh,
from there.
they're up on the
Yeah, look
screen.
at that.
Okay, well, that's good, great. We didn't actually probably put it in the writing, but the first one, Mr. Robinson's, we had the conditions of approval. I don't, maybe it did, so, but it's that, we gotta have that in there with the 6 conditions of approval. You want to make a motion to that, Scott? Resolution HLC. Right up there, 191.
This one's.
Resolution HLC 191-22 motion. Move to approve resolution HLC 191-22 approving application HLC number 203-22 George Robertson with the 6 conditions of approval.
I second that motion.
Hey, you're right on time.
Thank you.
If there's no further discussion on that resolution, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed isn't here. So now we'll go to the next resolution. Bev, you're gonna try your handle on that?
I'll give it my best shot.
Please do.
Resolution HLC 192-22, motion. Move to approve resolution HLC 192-22, approving application HLC, did I get that wrong?
Yep, nope, you're
You
good.
got it.
204-22 of Todd Carpenter and Carla McQuay with the 8 conditions of
So
approval.
we do need,
Modified.
Nine.
With
We add one more.
9. Thank you. Thank you, Paula and Don.
Oh,
Okay,
okay,
is that good?
I second it.
there, we got this going now. All right. If there's no further discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We don't have anybody opposed. Now we'll go back to our agenda again. And we don't have, that I see there, a date for the next meeting. We might dissolve, Dawn. We don't have another meeting. This might be it.
it's, I'm sorry to tell, no, it's not the end.
Don completely dropped the mic, as they say.
May 25th will be the next regularly scheduled Historic Landmark Commission meeting. And I'm not sure if Todd will have an application. He has not submitted one yet.
Probably.
Probably.
They have changed the agenda here. Here I am, my frog again. But is there any comment from anyone that wants to make a comment at this point? If we're not hearing any comments, we're going to adjourn without a motion. We're just gone.
We're done.
We're out of here.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Don, we're gonna miss you.
Oh, thank you, Todd,
Yes.
so much. I will still
Congratulations
be
on your
here.
new job.
Thank you so much.
I don't know what I'll
Thank you,
do
everybody.
next month.